This is a massive game for the division. Eagles need to keep pace with, like you were saying earlier in the show, the Vikings and the Lions. Commanders obviously trying to secure that playoff spot themselves. This one's in Washington. How do we feel about it, Carmen? What's the matchup that matters?
I would say Saquon, but we don't know what's going on with him. Everything has been very weird about, when he got hurt, what's wrong with him. He's not commenting on it. Nobody's commenting on a timetable. It's all very strange.
Very interesting.
It's very interesting because I'm like, all right, being this hush hush about it makes me think that it's serious, and they don't want to. They don't want to say that because, of gamesmanship and all of that kind of stuff.
Or are they being hush hush about it to make you think that it's serious and then it's not serious?
And then it's not, and then he's just going to come out and be fine. I don't know, but like the immediate hush, just the way that everything was so hush hush immediately just really raised some alarm bells. Like during the game where they wouldn't say what play he was injured on. They wouldn't say how long or like what they were looking at in the tent. He was very no comment about it, after the post-game presser. I was just like, all right, but all right. So instead, I'm going to go with AJ Brown versus the Washington pass defense.
Okay.
Because of, also there's all the extracurriculars that are happening with the Philadelphia Eagles team. It doesn't seem to matter. Like the vibes still don't seem great. Like within the Philadelphia Eagles,
better after the win,
better after the win. But I'm like, Jalen Hurts getting up there and being like, "Is this what you wanted to see?" Like, all right, so you're gonna keep targeting AJ Brown just out of spite, which fine, but I guess teams are gonna be ready for that. They should be ready for it anyway, though, because AJ Brown obviously extraordinarily productive, 8 catches for 110 yards, and the 5th receiving touchdown of the season last week. So Washington has a 47.4 coverage grade this season, which is the 3rd worst. And when you look at how AJ Brown has done against Washington, has 5 receiving touchdowns in 5 career games versus Washington, including 130 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns in the last road meeting. So that's something that I would look out for a little bit. Just, again, are they still? Is Jalen Hurts still trying to make AJ Brown happen? Even though I don't think that was really that. But it was a lot overblown, and it was self-inflicted wounds because it was your own teammate that talked about how you
very strange. Yeah. Athletes at the highest level are very funny when it comes to motivation, right? Like, people have talked about that with like Michael Jordan, where
Kobe, Tom,
they just manufacture their own doubt.
Yes.
Like when I bring this up because I think it's just absolutely hilarious. Like when Georgia won their 2nd national championship, and multiple players on the team were like, they predicted us to go 8-5. Who? That never happened. Who did that? Yeah. And if it is, it's one person who is a very clear idiot.
Right. Like trying to get clicks.
Like Kirby had them all believing that the world people just thought Georgia was not barely going to make a bowl game.
Yep. Yeah. And I talked about this actually on the NFL on Fox podcast this week, where I was like, if this is Sirianni making this a huge deal in the locker room just because he wants to motivate his team, and that's how he's found he can motivate the team and bring them together, I guess more power to you. If you're playing out of spite, out of pettiness, I'm not going to stop you. If that's what you found to be most effective.
Was the Brandon Graham interview a plant?
Was it a plant?
Did they do this on purpose? Because you're right. It is hilarious.
All these conspiracy theories.
It is hilarious that Hurts gets up there and he's like, "Is this what you wanted, buddy? Your teammate said this.
Your teammate said it. We had nothing to do with this." Right. But I'm like, did Sirianni take back, just plaster all of the articles that were reporting what Brandon Graham said? By the way,
or AJ
all over the place, or AJ. Yeah. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know who did it, but hey,
this Eagles team. Going back to the year they won the Super Bowl with the underdog masks and all that kind of stuff, very clearly. And I think a lot of coaches would tell you that this is the case. When you have that underdog mentality, people play, when they think that they're doubted, people play better. So maybe this is just, maybe it is, maybe it's all an inside job. Maybe the doubt is coming from inside the building.
calls coming from his side.
My matchup that matters is very similar to yours. It is the Commanders coverage just versus the Eagles overall. AJ Brown is a major factor of that, as is DeVonta Smith, who had 100 yards last week as well. But when you look at you talked about their coverage grade overall this season, if you limit the scope a little bit to say, all right, just since the second half of the year, still not great. 52.5 coverage grade from the Commanders. That's 25th in the NFL. Hurts last week, and I will give the Eagles a lot of credit for this because I sort of mentioned it earlier in the show, and I'll dive a little bit deeper into it now. The Eagles' identity up to this point that has been really unstoppable has been hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, shot plays to A.J. Brown, and then when you get in 3rd and 4 or less situations, you're doing the tush push twice and you are getting a guaranteed first down. It's really, really, really hard to stop an offense that has that kind of formula playing the way that the Eagles were. Last week, they changed it up. Barkley didn't play well, and instead of it being all shot plays in the passing game, it was underneath stuff. Hurts on throws of 10 or few yards, 20 for 21, 200 yards, 79.0 passing grade. A lot of stuff with that yards after the catch. They were able to manufacture a ton of that. And so it was just a different game plan from the Eagles. And my worry has always been, well, if you play, because this is the math formula of why it works for the Eagles. If you play too high defenses, Saquon's going to run all over you. If you play single high coverage and you rotate a safety down to get plus numbers in the box, A.J. Brown over the top. He's one of the best, if not the best, one-on-one wide receiver in the NFL. Yeah. So it was a big issue or a trap that defensive coordinators were in of like, okay, damned if I do, damned if I don't. And I wondered, in a game where Saquon isn't superhuman, if a team is playing cover 2 against you, does Jalen Hurts have the ability to really dink and dunk you in yards after catch you for a victory? He showed that last week. So it is in their repertoire, if you will. So they have it there. And that's something I'm looking forward to seeing if they can duplicate that against a divisional opponent. My plus factor here is just Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels against the Philadelphia Eagles in week 11 when they previously played. He was 22 for 32, 191 yards, had a touchdown and interception, but more importantly, just 7 attempts, 18 total yards, and a 2.6 yards per attempt average. They need him to be a little bit more of that dual threat Jayden Daniels that we have seen at times throughout the season. To me, he's got to be a superstar in this game. Like in order for the Commanders to beat the Eagles right here, it's got to be a vintage Jayden Daniels game. And I say vintage, he's a rookie. But I mean, like earlier in the season, we talked so highly about him for, what was it, the Bengals game that he absolutely went off on. Yes. And it was almost as if he was crowned rookie of the year right after that game. Well, he's had good performances since. He hasn't quite had that headline grabbing game. This, to me, has to be one of them. He's got to be able to give his team an incredible performance to beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm wondering if we get to see it.
Yeah, I agree. But my plus factor too is the Commanders opened the practice window on John Allen just today, and it's he was practicing and like from what the video showed and him doing individual drills, he looked pretty uninhibited, and you wonder, all right, does that mean he could come back as soon as this weekend? You never know. When they open the practice window on these guys, it can be right away, it can be in 3 weeks, but he is expected to be back this year, and when there's only 3 weeks left in the season, you have to think that they're opening this window for him to come back pretty quickly. And if he does, he could give a boost to a very middling pass rush for the Commanders. 67.9 pass rushing grade overall for the Washington defense. That ranks 16th. They rank 17th in EPA per play allowed. So this could be huge. And if he does come back, I mean, that, like, what a game to come back against this Philadelphia offensive line, which is one of, if not the best unit in football right now. So that, to me, would be a plus factor if that happens. Again, it's only Wednesday, so I'm not sure if he's actually going to be activated to the active roster, but his practice window was opened this week, and he was practicing on Wednesday, so that's a good sign.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video, and if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.